Like, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we might be just getting to the end of this. Like, sometimes I just feel like we're running in circles. Like, somebody writes in, all whiskey is bourbon, but not all bourbon is whiskey. And all I want to say is anybody who cares is an ass. Frankenstein's monster, we're doing that again. Because we had a Frankenstein thing. Like, I don't care. You know, maybe we're just reaching the end game. Like, I don't know what we're getting out of it. I mean, people still send cool. Like Daryl sent me this, you know, May the 4th week. Somebody sent this. Is this anything? Is this worth? Like, is this a reason to still do it? I will just get into it. Tankers don't sail because they don't have sails. RFK wouldn't get X-Men powers from eating raccoon testicles. X-Men are born with the gene. That doesn't mean he didn't enjoy eating them. I called the drink Sex at the Beach. The drink is called Sex on the Beach. On the beach, that's where the sand is. I'll take a sex on the towel, bartender. This is my first date in a while. Thanks for swiping right. Sorry I don't look like my picture. We were talking about how Sherlock Holmes figured out what kind of drink it was. And based on the fact that it was sex on the beach, somebody, a jackal, did point out, I missed saying, it's sedimentary, dear Watson. Fair enough. I also figured out, did you know Sherlock Holmes called his penis the game? That's just a fun fact. Just something to take with you as you go on about your life. We did a thing about Kentucky Derby horses. They were less likely to win, and somebody pointed out a lot of those names would not be allowed. Here's another fun fact. Kentucky Derby horse names, 18 characters, including spaces, max. So obviously a lot of our comedy names would not have qualified. Somebody pointed out, because we had a horse called the Godfather, and somebody said this was an act of mercy. This horse probably never was going to win based on the fact that there's no spinal column. The game is afoot! Oh, we said, we had to think about how Kid Rock could be a red coat because his pants were red. In England, you should say trousers. Pants in England mean underpants, and Kid Rock's pants are probably not on. If anybody presents like a guy who's freeballing it, I would say Kid Rock. Exhibit number 1. It's bloomin' onion at Outback, not blooming. But I'm sorry that I speak the Queens. We had a picture of 2 bats flying away with Ted Cruz. Somebody wrote, assuming Ted Cruz weighs approximately 236 pounds based on his self-reported weight in early 2026. I don't know who's getting Ted Cruz's self-reported weight emailed to them, but it would take roughly 12,410 Mexican free-tailed bats to carry him away. All right. That's a lot of bats. What do you call a group of bats? Right? Flock. It's a flock of seagulls, gaggle of geese, a murder of crows. A group of bats is called a baseball lineup. You're out! We use Siri's voice, not Alexa. All right. I did it. We were doing a Patton, a General Patton impression, and multiple people said, your Patton voice, you were doing George C. Scott doing Patton. And then people said in real life, Patton had sort of a high-pitched nasal voice. So it turned out that right up until I did the Patton impression, and then everything I said after was Patton. Been doing Patton every night. I said, I was talking about shows 2 weeks ago, and I said Charlize Theron was on, and somebody said, I can't believe you remembered Charlize Theron and not the guest on right after, which was Jorma Taccone, who you have a podcast with. And I'm wondering, like, what could possibly be the difference between remembering talking to Charlize Theron up close or talking to Jorma. Somebody wrote, I can't decide whether Seth is bombing more in corrections or Buck was covering up a lot of silence. Question I've asked myself. People enjoyed me trying to name the guest last week, and they said, oh my God, you should do that every week. But the problem is, if I know I'm going to do it every week, like, even without trying, right, I'm going to remember the guests who are on this week, because back in my head, I know the moment's coming up, right? And so this week, it was Nathan Lane, Noah Kahn, Chris Hayes, Meg Stalter, Carol Claire Burke was the author, Maya Rudolph, Michael Gandolfini, Nicholas Braun, Lisa Kudrow. So that's the problem, that I can do it. Can I still do 2 weeks ago? George Hamilton, George Shakiris, Prince Andrew. So, but here's the thing. I do think remembering the guest names is fun, but like, again, I've explained the problem. So what we're going to do moving forward is Shoemaker will have one of those little buttons, you know, that he can press anytime in a corrections. Don't do it every week. Wait until you think I forgot, and then you'll press it, and we'll record. We'll get one of the people on the show who's got a good voice. We won't use your voice. So you'll press, and it'll be like, say the names, or something like that. And then I'll, on the spot, have to do it. Because, again, otherwise. The game is afoot! Had a lot more faith in that joke. But, you know, again, this is, at this point, it's just merch that we don't have the license to. For real, let's see if I can do 2 weeks ago. Eben Moss-Bachrach, Matthew Reese. Io, Sabrina Rudin, Lena Dunham, Rose Byrne. That's all of them. We did it. See you next week.